What's up, guys? What is up? We are doing the Deck Talk podcast, and man, we've got a special guest and a guy that we have become buddies with here over the past couple of weeks. And we got old Louis Monetti. What do you know, brother?
What's going on, Louis?
Oh, no. He lost connection. Actually, Lewis will do this until he gains connection again. Lewis is actually out on the water, and so if you hear when he comes back, if you hear anything, there he is.
There we go. We got him again.
So,
Got me
what's up,
back.
brother? We got you, man.
Awesome.
We had to tell him that you're actually out on Lanier, and so your service might be a hair spotty. So we just wanted to let everybody know. But what have you been up to, brother?
Man, we got the Open coming up next week on Toledo Bend, and God, I had a day off and figure why not stay here at Lanier and see if I couldn't catch myself a couple spotted bass.
Yeah. So we got a text message from you here, about 10-15 minutes ago, and said, "Hey, I'll be on here in a second. I've got a bedded bass up, so I got to catch it first."
Yeah.
Don't blame me there.
No, it was one of them ones that we were getting to the point where we were getting on a personal level, and I had to catch it. So luckily we got it done. I think I caught it about 5 minutes before I called y'all.
How big was it?
Yeah, how big was it, brother?
It was about 3.25. Not a giant one, but
Nice.
like I said, I had a personal relationship with it at that point. I had to catch it.
Yeah, you was committed by then, so.
That's
So
right.
let's talk a little bit about you was at the Bassmaster Classic, and how did it feel to be able to walk that stage at the Classic?
Oh man, it was an experience I'll never forget. I can tell you that much. That's something that for the last, I gotta say, 7-8 years I've been dreaming of doing, and to go ahead and do it there in Knoxville, such a cool, special place to have the Classic. I feel like, man, it was just special. It was a really cool moment for myself, my family. It was amazing, and just to walk across that stage, fish against those guys, and be there, especially be there on the final day when crown champion. I mean, it was just a really special experience.
Well, Gussie tried to let y'all have a chance to come back and make it close, which Canterbury was close, and but I thought them fish though for Gussie was going to. I was hoping that they was going to hold out, but they barely just held out for him. And so, but we were definitely keeping an eye on you. We wanted to see you make that big jump up, and how the temperature and all that was for you. It was kind of a rough weekend, wasn't it, with the weather and it had the fish doing some crazy stuff, didn't it? So guys,
we lost Louis.
We lost Louis, and he'll be back here in a second again. Like we was saying, he is actually on.
We got him back.
Oh, there he is. We got him back.
Hold on. I'm gonna try and join without camera and see if that works better.
Okay.
You still hear me good?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, bro.
All right. So yeah, the last thing you were saying was about man, the weather that week and just how tough it was, and I can just kind of go off that a little bit. It was bizarre. I mean, the weekend before we had our 3-day practice period, and it was cold, it was rainy, it was miserable, And I would have thought that with those 3 70-degree days going into the tournament, I really would have thought that it would have turned on and gotten good.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, it just did not happen. I mean, I think I was certainly hoping for it. I think a lot of the guys that were in the tournament were also hoping for it, and it just, for some odd reason, I couldn't tell you why, they just never came.
Yeah. And what we seen uh, was really like, I think if it would have, if you would have been like another day or so, if it would have been longer, another day or so, that probably would have helped your style of fishing with staying up shallow and stuff like that. But again, like that, the weather. I mean, you really didn't have anything consistent besides the daytime temperature. The night times was all over the thing, all over the record or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was. You had what one night was 50s and the next night was in the 30s and then raining and then it warmed back up a little bit, but it was kind of crazy
Yeah, you
for you.
just had so much weather change. It was just there was nothing consistent about the weather. And I think what you guys needed a little bit to get that fight really going, Lewis, is a little bit more stability in the weather. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I would certainly agree. It was a bizarre week all around. I mean, from the way that practice goes for that tournament and everything like that, it was just kind of, the whole thing was kind of wild, and I think everybody just had a really tough time kind of tracking the fish. I think that ended up being the biggest problem, is that these fish were moving. There were the active fish were moving. Some fish just weren't active that a lot of us thought were going to be, and man, it just seemed like those fish were about as confused as we were. And I think that all
Yeah.
kind of contributed to a really tough week. But for me personally, I think that makes for a really cool classic.
Oh, and it really was. I mean, but if you would take out the 19 pounds and the 17 pounds that Gussie had the first 2 days, it pretty much, was a very competitive after that. I mean, Gussie just showed up and he had them smallmouths, which I think, well, we talked about it at the launch, and when we was talking to you, that I think that he had either like a whistle or something like that for them fish because they were all going to him.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was convinced that they were coming to me between. We had some rain. I want to say it was either the first or the second night of the tournament, and
Right.
I would have thought that would muddy up that back creek that I was fishing and a couple other ones that I was fishing, and it did, and it got, that mud got warm. I mean, if I remember correctly, I want to say I saw 61, 62 degree temperatures,
Yeah.
in good settled mud, especially days 2 and 3. And for some odd reason, they just didn't fire. I had to move out every day to get bit. The first day was as far back in the creeks as I caught them, and every day I actually had to move further back. Which, if you'd have told me that going in, I never would have believed you.
Yeah, and that's like when it all settled, like how it kind of played out. We were really thinking that all the shallow anglers were going to be able to play a bigger effect into the tournament than really what happened because it never really came to that.
Right.
And which was kind of weird to us. I mean, we fish Chickamauga and Nickajack, so I mean, we're kind of on the same little pattern deal with when it rains and the temperature wise, the fish kind of acts pretty much the same way, but they totally acted different than anything that we were really expecting them to act.
Yeah, but when you were practicing too, Lewis, you had such a high swinging and weather from your practice days to when the tournament days was actually because and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were practicing, I mean it was like in the 20s and 30s.
It was. It was. Yeah, no, that first day of the tournament or first day of practice, I want to say I think it got up to 60, 62, something in there.
Yeah.
And then the next day I think it was a high of maybe 45. And then that third day of practice was brutal. I don't think it barely got to 40.
Yeah,
And then you turn around, have 2 days, 3 days off, or 2 days off. Wednesday was 55 and rainy after two 65-degree days. Then you had a weird cold night, and then the first day of tournament was 70 degrees. So it was,
yeah.
I mean, about as all over as it can get.
Now, since we're talking about the classic, how did you? How were you able to make it to where you're fishing the classic?
Yeah, so Bassmaster does a really awesome program. They have a number of really cool programs. At least I think, with the college series being, I think, just one of the coolest experiences and opportunities you can offer a kid like myself. And so you fish all year to qualify for the national championship or to try and win Team of the Year. And my partner and I were fortunate enough to do that. We won Team of the Year this past year, and the team of the year, as well as the top three finishers from the national championship, qualify for a tournament called the Classic Bracket. And what they do at that tournament is they split up those four teams into 8 boats, and everybody does head-to-head March Madness style competition to determine who's the college champion of the year.
That is awesome. And uh, so when you was doing that bracket, and did you when you were coming back on the last day, what was your thinking on that? Did you know that you had won it, or did you not, or did you think that you come up short, or
Yeah, no. So what I've honestly, the honest truth of what I've told everybody, um, and this is the story how it went. I was truly convinced that I did not have it won, and I try to prove that by telling you guys that my dad called me that night, the night that I won, about 11 o'clock at night, and he said, "Lou, I have to know. I have to know. Did you really, really not know?" And I said, "Dad, God's honest truth, I had no idea." So I was genuinely convinced that I had lost. Not even that I didn't know. It wasn't even like a question to me. I was convinced I had lost. So for it to be the way that it was pretty great television drama. I got to be honest.
yeah? Well, Norman and I, we watched the YouTube Bass YouTube channel, and we actually watched you win. And I mean, I'll honestly tell you, you had somebody over here crying with you and your dad,
Yeah,
and so it was because even like on when you hop back behind the wheel and you're heading back in, you even told everybody, "I don't have enough. I
yeah,
don't. I believe I don't have it." And then when they handed you the little clipboard and it said that you were the winner and stuff like that, and for a few minutes you were saying this is a prank. So, but yeah, that we thought that was. I mean, just how Bass has been able to like get the high schoolers involved and get the collegiate anglers involved and be able to move them up and get them ready to be able to perform. We It has been phenomenal. We think that's probably the best way you're going to, in my opinion, you're going to be able to see uh, what the youngest angler to win is going to be. I mean, it's not far fetched to see yourself win uh, an uh, elite tournament. So because we believe that with how you've done in the classic, you excuse me, I got the hiccups. You
yeah. Well, yeah. No, no. Just to go on that real quick. I mean, Hey, I appreciate it big time. And I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, they've really, shown an effort, especially lately in the last couple of years, to kind of put an emphasis on publicizing and making the college series and the high school trail about as good as they can be. And I think they strive to continue to improve both programs. But I can't applaud Bass and especially Bass's sponsors enough for both, putting these programs together and supporting them over the years. It's really an awesome deal.
Right. Hey, real quick, Norman, let's do. We're going to. We got a giveaway, and Norman's going to be on that one. So, well, here I'm going. Sorry. It's going to be on yours. We're going to do a giveaway, guys. So Norman's going to tell everybody what the giveaway is and how to be able to win the giveaway. So Norman, let's take it away, brother.
All right, guys. What we want you to do, and we got a pretty cool prize pack here. We got Spear Point Performance Hooks has hooked us up. We got a hat and quite a few different. It's kind of an assortment of Spear Point Performance hooks. But what we want you to do, we want you to jump on, and again, this is an interactive podcast. We want you to ask your questions, get your questions in for Lewis. Lewis's story is just off the charts. I mean, the way he came up through the ranks and punched his ticket to the classic. But ask your questions. What we're going to do at the end of the episode is we are going to get all the questions that was asked through the episode. We're going to repeat them one more time, and we are going to have Lewis pick the best question or what he thinks was the best question or the most spot on question of the episode. Whoever has the best question will take home this pretty cool prize pack from Spear Point Performance Hooks. So, guys, get on and ask your questions for Lewis or myself or Colin as well.
Mainly Lewis.
Mainly Lewis. We want to pick Lewis's brain
Yeah.
and any questions you might have for him as far as his classic experience, his collegiate experience. Get on and ask your questions, guys, and win this awesome prize pack from Spear Point Performance Hooks.
Heck yeah. So let's see. Yeah, we thoroughly enjoy your story. So let's kind of get in on that. Of
I was gonna say, once it, and Lewis could trade to this. We actually met Lewis's father on day 3 when we're getting a chance to talk to Lewis down on the docks. But Lewis, we want to talk a little bit about your support system and. Sorry about that.
We thought we turned it down.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
We want to talk a little bit about your support system and how important is a support system. Your family, your friends. Did we lose them?
Yeah.
That's who it was actually calling us.
Oh, was it?
All right. Give us 1 second, guys. We got technical difficulties. We lost Lewis.
Well, let's do.
I'll call him back. We get him on a speakerphone here.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Technology is great when it works right.
Yeah. Again, he is. He's out on the water right now, so that's where he was. He was doing the live, so we're going to get him. And which you've seen. That's why we've been putting his pictures up. So he.
Can you hear me, Lewis? Let's switch brackets there.
I hear you.
All right, we're going to try something. We're going to leave you on speakerphone on the phone and kind of put you in front of the mics.
Yep.
I think that might be the way to go. I think we had the old college trial not to be too fun.
Well, I tell you what, technology is awesome when it works right, Lewis?
That's right.
All right.
So guys, if you can let us know if you can hear him all right, we would appreciate it. So,
all right. Let's got to get our train of thoughts going here again. Lewis, we were actually talking about your awesome support system. We actually got a chance to meet your dad on
Yeah.
Sunday when we were talking to you down on the docks before blast off. And and you could really attrate to this as you're moving up through the ranks and trying to make it to the elites to fish full time. How important a support system is. Your family, you have to have a great support system at home to even think about being able to be able to fish at that level. Without that support system, you just can't do it. But how has your support system kind of helped you get to where you are, Lewis? And I know, just talking to your dad, I know he's really been big in your basically as your one of your main supporters as we talked to him there that Sunday morning. But how is the support system, whether it be your dad, and basically all of your corner around you, how have they helped you kind of get to where you are?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, you hear it all over and over. A lot of these guys when they're on stage talking about how much it means to them to have a family, friends, and just like you said, overall support system behind them. And man, it really is everything. My parents specifically, they're separated, but they both support me entirely, 100% of the way. I think it's regardless of what I chose to do in life, and despite how crazy an idea it is to try and fish for a living, they've been entirely behind me in it, and just so supportive of everything I've really done. I'll be honest, this is by no means a slight to my parents, and I think, if anything, a compliment. I haven't been really blessed with, you know, the top tier equipment from them, or incredible financial support or anything like that. But more so just kind of emotionally and mentally supporting my decisions and what I want to do. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it might take some other guys out of the game to be kind of electronically and technologically at a disadvantage. But for me personally, man, it just to have them behind me, supporting me, what I'm doing, and encouraging me really to do my best at it, not just to do it, but to do as best I can. Man, that's all I can ask for, and that's really all I want or need. It's meant the world to me just to have them behind me, supporting me, and being behind me in this. It's a crazy decision. It's a crazy life kind of choice to try and go after this, and to have two parents that are 150% behind me in doing so. I mean, that's the support that I've gotten, and that's all I could ever ask for.
Yeah, and another thing, Lewis, too, is just your story alone is really a good learning curve, or how should I put it, a good example for a lot of young and up and coming anglers that is wanting to kind of get where you are and start, and be able to start fishing the big leagues. It doesn't matter how much money you have to start out. A lot of the kids today, they want to jump right into these big fancy rigs, and it's not all about that. It's not about how much money you have, where you come from, what part of the world you're even from. If you have the drive, if you have the determination, and you have the want to, uh, anything's possible. And again, Bassmaster, big stage, big dreams, dude. And as long as you have the drive, the want to, and the determination, anybody can do
Yeah.
it. And it doesn't matter what you have to start out with.
No, that's entirely true. I'm a big believer in hard work, and get you real far in life if you really are willing to put the time in and the work in. And I think that's especially true for this sport, and especially at these levels. It's not only the college or the high school, but the high, forgive me, the nation as well. I think the nation is an incredible avenue that people should take more of an advantage of. And you can, it's a very similarly ran program that can get you just as far as the college series got me. I really think there's something to be said for those lower level programs and the competition at them. There are some great anglers out there, don't get me wrong, that are fishing the nation and that are fishing the college series. And, I can say that firsthand and just based upon who I've fished against. But at the same time, it is a lower level of competition. And you don't need, the top tier equipment to compete with these guys. I think if you can kind of put the work in and really learn fish behavior and spend the time on the water, I think you can be just as effective and get just as far as I did. And then, if anything, if you do it out of, kind of lesser equipment the way I did, when it's time to get in a nice boat, you might be a little bit better off.
Yeah. Right. Now, speaking of like the boat and stuff that you were using, what kind of, because, well, we know because you talked about it on the stage at the Classic, but the boat that you had was not a brand new boat at all, was it?
No, it was far from it. I got to, the Classic through the college series in a 1996 Ranger 17-footer. So it's very, very possible to do it in something like that. And man, if that isn't the bottom tier, I don't know what is.
Right.
It can get nicer with that than that without being so bad.
Yeah,
it's absolutely possible to do it out of a boat like that. I mean, I'm living proof of it. You seen Matty Wong last year won the nation championship. I think he won it out of if not equally old, maybe a slightly newer old Ranger. I mean, it can be done, and it's just like I said, it's time on the water, it's hard work, it's all those cliche things you hear pros say and you roll your eyes at, but that's the truth. I mean, that's how you get far in this sport, regardless of what kind of equipment you have. And it's especially true if you've got an old boat or an old, anything really.
Yeah, exactly, man. And you see all these boats today, they show up at the boat ramp and they have 3 units on the console and 3 units on their front deck. And but you actually punched your ticket to the Classic with 1 unit at your console. You didn't even have a unit on your front deck. So so I mean, you basically had the bare essentials, which I think is really, really cool, really, really neat.
Yeah, and I appreciate that big time, and it's true. That is what I would made it. I had a Lowrance. I want to say it was an HDS Gen 2. That's what I was running at the back, and it was an 8-inch screen, not a big screen, and that's how I got there, man. It didn't take much. I could side scan and use my 2D just like everyone else, and it's not like I was limited to fishing the bank. I fished offshore. It can be done. Again, it's hard work. It's a marker buoy. It's a lot of that old stuff that's kind of gotten forgot about, but it still works. I know how to triangulate. I bet a lot of guys that are out there on the opens are not quite as familiar with that, but
no, that's
do what you have to do.
Yeah, that's a lost skill there that you don't see, especially in the younger anglers, is the being able to triangulate. But we do have 2 questions for you.
Go ahead, yeah.
First one is from my brother-in-law, and if you know my brother-in-law, every podcast, he's got to mention something about food. So his question is, what is your tournament snack in the boat that you have?
Oh man, that's a great one. I'll be honest. Before this year, like literally 2022, I would not eat on the boat, and I don't know if it's something about me getting a little bit older. I've been wanting to eat a little bit more on the boat. I've gotten pretty used to and comfortable with just the old chewy bar. Nothing fancy,
Yeah.
A little granola bar. It's quick to eat, easy, and that's my meal of choice on the boat.
Yeah, and then the next question is uh, how was fishing the classic helped you out to be able to set you up for doing well in the opens?
That's a great question, and I'll honestly answer it with I think it's going to help me out tremendously. This next tournament will be the first Open I fish on Toledo since the Classic, and I really, really do feel like I've got a kind of a new confidence, especially going into day 3 at the Classic, and kind of beating some of those names that I beat. Man, I feel like I belong on the Elite Series, and I'm going to go out and fish like I did. I really have a new kind of, not that I wasn't confident before, but I've kind of got a newfound confidence in a way. And I'm tickled to get out there and get on the opens, get to Toledo Bend, and hopefully prove that I do belong out there.
Right. And I mean, which we told you that Sunday, the final day of the Classic, that you have proven that you do belong because you hang in there for or you made 3 days and uh, you beat half of the tournament people, the anglers that was there,
half the field.
Half the field. You set in, and as somebody that's coming in that has not ever been to the Classic and has not fished an elite event, that you prove that you can hang with the best of them. I mean, because that's what the Classic is. The best of the best is there, and you held your own. And making the top 25 is not something to be frowned upon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that big time. It's it's almost, I kind of got the chills there. You said that. It's really, really cool. And man, I hope to kind of take that momentum into the year. That's kind of the goal now. Is to make sure that it isn't a wasted year with just that day 3 of the Classic being the highlight. I really do hope that I can kind of carry the momentum and make it a great year outside of the Classic and not kind of let it stop here.
Exactly. Now, how did you get into fishing?
I got in.
That is awesome.
I got into fishing when I was real young. I was 3 years old, and I think my dad took me fishing for the first time. And man, I know I've been in love with it ever since. I think especially around the ages maybe 6, 7, 8. That's when I really, really got hooked. And it was all saltwater fishing. I grew up on the coast of New Jersey, and I was, around the striped bass and bluefish and tuna and fluke and flounder and, all of that. And that's kind of what I grew up, that's what my year revolved around, man, was the spring runs or the stripers and fall runs. And that was what it was all about. And sometime around when I was maybe, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, I had a buddy introduce me to bass fishing, and I'm not going to lie, I thought it was the most lame thing on planet Earth when I started, but it didn't take long for me to get hooked, and I was just addicted ever since. And I like to tell people I've always been a super competitive person, just kind of my whole life, as I've always loved competing in whatever sport I could, and, whatever game I could. That's kind of how I grew up, and man, I sucked at every single one of them, and so I found fishing, and I guess I got a knack for it, and here we are.
Yeah. Now, we have another question. Let's see. Hold on.
No worries.
It scrolled up on me. How is the fishing the opens going to set you up to where you can fish the Classic again?
So the couple of routes that there are is obviously number one being win an open. So you win an open and you qualify for the classic. So that'd be the easiest way. I say easy, like winning an open's something you do on any given Saturday. But that's the kind of simplest way to do it from where I'm at currently. That being said, the goal really is to make the Elite Series, and to do that, it would be top 9 in points after all 9 opens, and then I would qualify for the Elite Series. And from there, obviously, it's statistically a lot easier. I'm not going to say it is because of how good those guys are. But 40 of the Elite Series guys make it to the Classic each and every year. So the goal is to get there and make it a whole lot easier to get back. I understand after fishing one now just how much that tournament means and why those guys really strive to get back every single year.
Yeah. Now, how more? I mean, because I know that the goal is to fish the Classic and to make it and be on that stage. How is it? Do you have more drive now to make it back to it, the Classic, than prior to just trying to make it to it?
Without a question, absolutely. I mean, it's always been a dream of mine, like I kind of said earlier, to make it to that tournament and to fish that tournament. But after fishing it, man, I've got a whole different kind of drive and motivation to be back. It's such a special tournament. And being there once, man, now all I want to do is win it. So you can't win it unless you're there. And man, that's the goal going forward is to get back to that tournament and eventually hoping. Well, I'm planning to win one. I'll put it that way. Planning to win one.
Well, we have no doubt that here in the future, and with how you performed and with what you're doing, we believe that that is definitely going to be coming for you. That we're going to. Our goal is that we want to be able to take pictures and do some videos of you hosting up that trophy on the final day on the Classic, and then be able to interview you and your dad also. So that is what we're hoping for.
I tell you what, that sounds like a pretty good plan
to me. Yeah, we're gonna set that into motion. So we just need you to make it back to where we can do our part on it.
Absolutely, and I absolutely will. I mean, I want to do everything I can to win an Open this year, but in the event that I don't, I hope to be on the Elite Series very soon and fishing that tournament on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. Now, how is the Opens? How is it going? Are you looking forward to this next weekend? As in, how do you think that fishing down in was it Toledo Bend?
Yep.
Do you think that you're going to be able to fish shallow like you like to?
I do, yeah. I think it's going to be a pretty good week. I mean, we've got the full moon kind of coming and going. I believe one of the next 2 days or so. So there should be at least some fish pulled up. But either way, I mean, I'm a big believer in that there's always fish shallow. I mean, that first Open was at Eufaula just a couple weeks ago, and I lost some fish that really would have moved me up in the standings, but I finished in 84th, which my season's far from over after that, but we definitely got some ground to make up, and I did that all shallow, even though a bunch of guys were catching it real deep. So I definitely intend to fish out. That's what I know how to do this next week, and yeah, we're just gonna have to see where the cards lie. I mean, there's gonna be it's mid-April. There's gonna be fish up there on the bed, and I'm just gonna have to find a couple of big giant ones and weigh them in.
Yeah. Another question is there a tournament in the Opens that you are looking forward to that is going to hopefully help get you in the Classic?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to answer that one with the St. Lawrence River. Being from New Jersey as a kid, that was kind of our summer getaway every year was going up to the St. Lawrence River and fishing for those big giant smallmouth, and that's just it's a real strength of mine. I feel like is to fish for those big smallmouth. It's something I feel like I'm pretty good at, and so I'm very familiar with that river, and I'm very excited to get back there and with a big field, and man, that's going to be a real fun one. So that's definitely the one that I've got circled right now is the one that I think I can take a shot at winning.
That is awesome.
All right, Lewis, want to change it up a little bit, real quick. Talk about breaking down lakes. Of course, is there any tournaments that you fish in opens where it's kind of unfamiliar water or lakes that you really don't have a lot of experience on?
Yeah, most. I mean, the honest question is most of them. I was actually Toledo Bend is one I am somewhat familiar with from the college series. But outside of Toledo, the St. Lawrence, and maybe one or two others, I haven't been to any of them.
Oh, man.
And for me personally, I actually really loved showing up to a place for the first time. It's I like having a fresh eye on things, kind of seeing things for the first time. I have a real confidence when I have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Man, I really I like to kind of. I'm a slow fisherman, Even though I'm a shallow fisherman, I'm kind of a finessey guy. I like to pick areas apart, and so I really, really like to kind of anchor myself into an area that looks like it'll suit me the best. Yeah. And I just kind of try to learn everything I can about it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you out, but no, I was gonna say sometimes you're better off showing up to a place where you don't really have a lot of past experience, where you could actually, because as well as I do, fishing by memory is one of the worst things you can do, and sometimes if you fish a body of water that you really have a lot of experience on, it could come back a little bit as a hindrance because you're always going to want to go to places that you fished before. So sometimes showing up to a place where you really don't have a lot of experience sometimes could actually be a little bit more beneficial to you when you just got to go out and kind of fish by the seat of your pants and just find them.
Yeah, and that is honestly, I feel like that's my true strength. I feel like it's part of why I did well in the Classic is because it's a tournament where practice really doesn't matter near as much as other tournaments. A lot of guys are kind of going in feeling uneasy, not really sure if their fish will be there. Whereas when I fish a tournament like that, that's my favorite kind of tournament to fish. I love fishing by the seat of my pants. Just kind of taking the conditions as they come and not really having anything too set in mind and really just fishing the moment.
Yeah. Now, how has fishing the college series kind of helped you be able to break down new bodies of water? I mean, I'm sure fishing the college series, you must have kind of gained a lot of experience on going to bodies of water that you've really never been to before. So as far as breaking down new bodies of water, has the college series really helped you kind of fine tune yourself on being able to break down areas that you're not really that familiar with?
Absolutely. One of the coolest things about the college series, and I always said this while I was fishing it, and I would say, if I don't ever take this as far as I want to take it, talking about just fishing as a career, the coolest thing about the college series is I've been able to see so many different places that a lot of bass fishermen only dream of going to. It's an amazing opportunity to go and fish these places at a low cost comparatively. And I've been so blessed to see, lakes like Gunnersville, Toledo Bend, Harris Chain of Lakes, the St. Lawrence River. I mean, you name it, I've at least been close to it. And so that's the coolest thing about the college series. You just get such a wide variety of places, and you really get a good opportunity to go out there and kind of learn them and figure them out. On top of that, I think part of my success is due to where I grew up. Just being in New Jersey, it's such a tough place to grow up to be a bass fisherman just because there really aren't that many great fisheries nearby. But if you kind of expand that region to a 4 or 5 hour drive from where I live, I mean, you've got such a diverse array of fisheries. You got, clear water smallmouth places like Champlain. You've got Oneida Lake. You've got all the smaller New Jersey lakes that really kind of taught me how to kind of grind and become a tough water fisherman. And then you've got, tidal places, dirty water tidal places like the Potomac River, the Chesapeake Bay. So between my upbringing in New Jersey and the college series, I really have been blessed to see such a wide array of fisheries and different types of fisheries at a really young age. And I think that'll kind of set me up well for success, hopefully on the Opens and on the Elite Series.
That's awesome, man. Did you fish in high school? Did your high school that you went to have a fishing team? And when you actually graduated high school, going into college, did fishing kind of be the determining factor of what school you went to, or I guess what I'm trying to say is, did you go to college basically with fishing on your mind when you actually were trying to pick your college?
100%. Yep. That's I chose UNC Charlotte due to the fact that they'd had some great success in the past with names like Shane LaHue, Jake Whitaker,
Awesome,
as well as the location. Not too far from home, but also a very, very different type of fishery in the Carolinas. And the cool thing about Charlotte that I really was one of the main reasons why I chose it was that as a fisherman, it was kind of free reign. There wasn't really, anything you had to do to go out and fish these tournaments. Whereas at the time when I was kind of getting into it, a lot of those bigger schools like Bethel and McKendree and Montevallo, they'd only send a certain number of teams to each tournament. And it was based on performance. And I kind of thought, I'd like to learn it on the fly, go out and just kind of do it. And that was the cool thing about Charlotte, is that anybody could go to any tournament. There was no kind of restrictions on that. And so I felt like I was going to be able to go to Charlotte and just fish as much as humanly possible. And that's what I did. I fished as much as I could, and I think it really has helped me out.
I think that's probably the best decision you made, dude. That's awesome,
so,
man.
Too.
Now, my brother-in-law came back on. Him and I both work for Little Debbie's. We drive a truck for Little Debbie for. That's what I call my real job, instead of doing a podcast and fishing and YouTube and stuff like that. But he said that we can get you some Sunbelt or Little Debbie's for your boat too.
I would have no problem with that. Just let me make sure my roommate does not see this podcast, because if he finds out about that, he's going to be all over it.
Yeah, which we'll definitely, we're going to keep in touch with you, but you might have a case or so of whatever Little Debbie's we'll ask you here. We'll text you, and you can text me what Little Debbie's you like, and you might have some Little Debbie's coming your way, especially when you get here at Watts Bar.
That would be fantastic. I might need it after September week of fishing.
Now, we do have another question for you, brother.
Go ahead. Yeah, keep coming.
This one's from Jamie Jones. He is a local hammer around here. If you ask him, he's not, but anybody else that fishes against him knows better.
He's a freaking hammer.
But he says, how do you decide when to pull off fish to preserve them for the rest of the tournament?
Man, that's a tough one. I honestly, I haven't really run into a tournament where I've had to seriously worry about that. I think part of that is my fishing style. I like to fish, man, so kind of grimy and grind. I'm usually just praying for every bite I could get. It's I like to tell my buddies, it always comes together, but it's never pretty. And so I don't run into too many problems like that, but I definitely have in the past just kind of, I like to take a rough estimate, say, of what doing really, what maybe a top 10 in a tournament would do on day one, and add a pound to that. And that'll kind of be my number that once I hit that number, kind of lay off of them. So, for example, at Saginaw Bay, again, wasn't easy. Day one, I thought that 17, 18 pounds would have you doing real well. So my plan was to try and go out and catch 19. I had one or two spots. I was going to go out and try and catch 19 and kind of lay off of them and leave them for the second day. Now, of course, like I said, it never goes easy, and I only had 17 and a half day one. But that was kind of my plan. So that's how I kind of look at it, is I'll take whatever I think doing really well is, add about a pound or so to it, and that'll be the weight I'll kind of shoot for and then lay off of them.
Now, what is your if you was to just have to grab one bait and throw it, what would be your confidence bait?
Oh man, it's that's an easy one. It's got to be just a good old 5-inch stick bait. My favorite is one we make at Biz Baits. I work part-time and full-time at Biz Baits whenever I'm not on the road, and I think our sassy stick, our 5.5-inch sassy stick, is honestly the best one out there. It's really hard to say. I know everybody loves their personal company's stick bait, but I really do think we have something special with that sassy stick, and it's my go-to. No matter where I am, no matter what time of the year, man, I'm not afraid to throw a wacky rig in the middle of summer or in the middle of the winter. It's not just a springtime deal. It works year-round for me.
Yeah, that is definitely one bait there that in which I've thrown that Biz Bait. I've thrown their product and stuff like that. I really do enjoy it. But that is one bait that, especially fishing the TVA lakes and stuff like that, that we know that you have that tied on pretty much all year round.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it be, and not always a wacky rig. A lot of times a Texas rig, or kind of whatever the conditions or the lake kind of is most friendly to. I'll throw it however the heck I feel is necessary, and I just always feel like that's a bait that I can get a bite on.
Yeah. So with you winning the Bassmaster College Series, the classic bracket, besides you being able to go to the classic, what else did that opportunity give you?
Yeah, so I've got the boat and truck for the year. I've got a Nitro Z20 and a Toyota Tundra, which I couldn't be more psyched to kind of bring around the country fishing these opens. All my opens this year are paid for, which is just a fantastic deal. And then I've gotten hooked up with Lose and Strike King for a bunch of their products, which I'm super psyched to be using. I've used them for years, and to be kind of partnered up with them for at least this year, I really am excited about, and hope to be next year as well. But man, outside of that, it's just been really, really cool. And talk about Minn Kota and Humminbird as well, and working with Bill Carson on putting this boat together. I think the coolest thing about this program is, for a guy who wants to try and make it pro, you really get in touch with how the back end of the industry works, whether that be rigging a boat or kind of coordinating a deal. It's kind of given me an idea on how all that stuff works, which is really valuable information going forward. So that's kind of been the best, little things I've taken away from this experience thus far.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, because, and again, that goes back to what all Bass is actually doing, especially for the younger anglers, to be able to set them up, to give them the best opportunity to succeed. They're giving the younger anglers the best opportunity to be able to fulfill their dreams.
That's exactly right. And man, like I said earlier, this opportunity just couldn't be cooler. It really is amazing, and I'm going to try and make the most of it. That's kind of the plan, is to not let it go to waste.
Yeah. Now, we're at 55 minutes, brother, so we're only going to go for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
So if you have any more questions for Lewis, feel free to leave it in the comments, and we will ask him because he is out on the water, and so we don't really want to take up too much of his time. But if you have a question for Lewis, this is the last time or last chance you're going to get until we get him back on. We will have him back on because it really didn't seem like an hour. So
no, it did not. It did not.
Time flies when you're having fun talking about fishing, right, Lewis?
There's something about talking fishing. The time just seems to go away, isn't there?
Yeah. So with that being said, which because we've already asked you this question when we interviewed you, but the question that we still have to ask you since we got you live on the podcast and we haven't got the video out yet. We're still in the editing process of getting that done. So if you could have anybody in your boat that's living or have passed, who would it be, and why would you have them on your boat?
Oh man, I'm gonna use up. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with. I'll give you a couple. That way it's not just the repeat of when you asked me last. The first one I have to mention is Brian Kirchel. Just as a nation guy, a guy who kind of a rags to riches story, kind of the best one that bass fishing has, in my opinion. Having dinner with him or having a day in the boat with him would be pretty fantastic. So I've got to mention him, even though I know I answered that the last time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because Norman, will you tell him?
Yeah. Well, a little bit of a side story to Brian Kirchel, for everybody that might not know who Brian Kirchel is actually, I'm trying to get it positioned in the camera, and I don't know if you can see it too good or not, but Brian Kirchel is actually, to this day, the only amateur ever to hoist the Bassmaster Classic trophy. And unfortunately, Brian Kirchel tragically lost his life after winning the Classic in an airplane crash like 5 months after he actually got a chance to live his dream and hoist the trophy. So he never got to really live out his dream and get to where he got after winning the Classic. But the story about Brian Kirchel, and I'm sure you know this story, Lewis, and I actually have a replica of the whistle, and I don't know if you can say I'm too good in camera, but it has actually Brian Kirchel's signature on his whistle. But the story goes that after every fish he caught during his Classic run, he would blow this whistle, and that whistle was given to him by a fan at the Classic prior to day one of the Classic. So he put it in his boat as a good luck charm. And after every fish he caught, he would actually get that whistle and blow it as loud as he could after each catch. So, and when you had actually mentioned Brian Kirchel when we were talking to you on the dock, that is a spot on answer, because you don't hear too much anymore about Brian Kirchel, but he is one of the legendary Bassmaster Classic anglers because of his story, where he came from, how he came up, and again, unfortunately, tragically, his life ended like 5 months after he hoisted that trophy.
Yeah,
that's right.
So we do have, in which we kind of knew that with that being your answer from last time. So we kind of had it set up to where we can grab the whistle while you're talking about it. So
that's awesome.
But we do have another question. A buddy of ours, Michael Lindell. He's a hammer down in southern Florida in the Everglades.
Okay.
And so his question is, and he just got on not too long ago, so he did not hear the question, but you could kind of go with the same thing or go with a different thing. His question is,
Sure.
what is your go-to secret bait that no matter where you fish, you either go down with it or you go winning with it?
All right, so just so here's it again. I'm gonna throw that 5-inch sassy stick out again, but I'll throw in another one too. So that 5-inch BizBait sassy stick, man, that is an absolute favorite of mine. And again, I'll harp on this for for a while, just how much I love it. That is a fantastic bait that if you haven't tried it, I urge you to please do so. You'll not for the company's sake, but for your own. It's an amazing bait.
It is. It is.
But aside from that, man, I got to be honest. I've really been into, so the last couple of years, everyone's known about the jackhammer as a bladed jig, and it's a really good one. A lot of money's been won on it by myself and others. And I don't know what it was. It could just be in my head, but I felt like last year that I really didn't get as many bites as I once did on that bait. And I don't know if it's the fish getting used to it, being pressured by it. I don't know what it is, but I've kind of started putting that thing down, and I've cycled through a few different ones, a few homemade ones. I'll be honest, I have not gotten into any of the Japanese stuff, which I do intend to soon. But the best bladed jig that I've thrown this year has been that new tungsten thunder cricket from Strike King. A bunch of pros have been talking about it, and I'm not just saying this because I'm with them. I really do think it's a different vibration, and it's a different sound with that tungsten head. And I just feel like I've gotten more bites on it this year because of that. So that new Strike King tungsten thunder cricket, man, that's a new favorite of mine for sure.
Yeah, and that which I mean, everybody knows that tungsten, it just makes a different noise in it, and I totally agree with you, especially for high pressured lakes. That chatterbait, they're probably getting used to it. So that tungsten's making a little bit different noise that I can see to where it's going to get a little bit better reaction out of it.
The tungsten's almost going to have more of a pinging sound versus like most of your leads is going to clunk 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 when it has something knocking against it. Where the tungsten's actually going to have more of an attractive sound to the bass, where it almost has more of a pinging sound versus that clunk that lead head's going to put off.
Yeah, I think obviously I haven't heard it personally under the water, but it definitely has a different vibration, and I think something about that different vibration, different sound, and it running really true with a nice kind of hunting action when you pop it. I think it's a really effective bait.
Yeah. Well, what we need to do is when you come up here for Watts Bar and we go out fishing with you, we will bring our cameras and stuff like that, and we'll do some underwater footage so you can hear the difference.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So, but we have hit over an hour, brother. So, and again, we don't want to take up too much of your time. Can you remember what question do you think that was asked to you from our viewers?
Actually, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and read them off for you, Lewis, real quick, because I know it's probably hard for you to comprehend question after question. I actually got them written down right here. And then we'll have actually Lewis pick what he thinks the best question of the night was. Okay, the first one, Lewis, is what is your favorite tournament snack in the boat? And you know who asked that question, the food man himself. And and the second question, Lewis, is how has fishing the classic set you up for fishing the opens? All right. The third question was how fishing the opens set you up for getting back to the classic in the future. The fourth question, Lewis, is there a tournament in the opens that's going to help you get back to the classic?
Everything's about getting back to. Everybody wants it back.
Yeah, exactly, man. Okay. The fifth question is, how do you know when to back off a fish that you might be pressuring to kind of keep them or save them for the rest of the tournament, which basically means you don't want to if you have 5 fish in the boat and you're catching 3 pounder after 3 pounder and you already have a 3 pounder in the live well, those fish can help you the next day. How soon do you back off of them, or do you take that chance there might be a 6 pounder in the mix with all them 3 pounders? And the last question, Lewis, which is question number 6, best bait that you use in a tournament that you will live or die with on the water.
All right, so I think I'm gonna have to go with which specific open is going to be the one that's going to help me get back to the Classic, because man, any opportunity I get to talk about the St. Lawrence River, it makes me smile. So I'm gonna have to choose that one.
That's awesome, man. And the winner, ready for the drum roll? The unofficial drummer. The winner of the prize pack is none other than Steve Burnett, which is Colin's dada. So Steve, you're getting and that's actually one of the reasons I didn't mention any of the names, because we do have a couple. We didn't want to kind of do that because we do have some friends in here, so we wanted Lewis to pick it.
Yeah.
So Steve Burnett, Colin's dad, is going to take home the Sheer Point Performance Hook Pack.
You know what that means? That's going in my box, and he's going to just yank them.
But there were there's 6 questions, guys, and we appreciate it. There were some spot-on questions, weren't they?
Yeah, they were some good questions, and
absolutely.
And it seemed like everybody was trying to figure out how to get you back into the Classic. So,
well, I can tell you what, guys, as much as y'all want me there, I want to be there. So,
yes,
yeah. So, well, next time we have you on, we'll definitely have you on before the next Classic, because we enjoy talking to you. And you wasn't short of words like you were when you won the Classic bracket. So, but we definitely are looking forward to when you do win the Classic, and we can have have you on the podcast and maybe have your dad on here, because I mean, just talking to him after doing the interview with you, you can tell that he's thoroughly proud of what you've done, and so it'll be good to have him on here too. But we're definitely gonna have you on before the next Classic, though.
Yeah.
Because
that sounds fantastic to me, and guys, I really can't appreciate can't tell you how much I thank you guys for having me on. And like you said, man, I look forward to the next time for sure. And man, I apologize about the connection issues. We'll try and fix it for next time.
Oh yeah. So guys, hey Lewis, when we get done with this, stay on the phone for a second. We want to chit chat with you for a second afterwards.
Sounds great.
But guys, we thoroughly appreciate it, and Lewis, we appreciate you coming on. And so if we can get y'all to go to the Deck Talk Podcast YouTube channel, hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you get notified of when we're going on. And we appreciate all the questions and the comments and stuff that y'all have done. And we kept Lewis on here for an hour and 10 minutes, and he's still out on the water, so it's going to be getting dark here soon on him, so we need to get his boat on the trailer. So
be safe running back to the boat ramp, Lewis, and good luck heading up there to Eufaula too. Eufaula is your next one, right?
No, Toledo Bend.
Toledo Bend you're heading to. All right, Toledo Bend. Well, good luck at Toledo Bend, man, and go kick some bass up there. And
thank you, man. I'll do my best.
Knock them dead.
So, all right, guys. We hope to see you out on the water, and again, we apologize for the not being able to have Lewis on. Just was having connection issues, but we were able to. Lewis did send us some pictures of him. It looks like that he was at the Classic, and we showed those pictures as he was talking, so you can kind of get to see who he is, and see that big old smile when he's holding them fish up on the stage. So, but again, we hope to see you out on the water, and hope that you live the passion, guys.
Guys, tight lines and live the passion, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.